Are we in the middle of a psychological operation right now? There are thousands of drone sightings.
Never seen so many UFOs in my life.
And more weird stuff every single day.
Were they human or non-human?
Non-human. We are not alone.
You deserve to know how to tell what the hell is going on. And I just did a very confidential talk to my inner circle last night. But I think that you need to see this.
People within the U.S. government believe it's true.
The world deserves the truth.
Growing number of drone sightings.
They're non-human, higher intelligence.
The unidentified aircraft are the size of cars.
Like the classic UFO that you would see online.
A lot of people are wondering what the hell is going on. But what if I told you that the most dangerous thing is happening, but it's inside of your head? If you just think about it for a second, there's decades of silence on UFOs, and now suddenly the government is obsessed with talking about them. I want to show you exactly tonight what the plans and motivations are if this is being done on purpose. And then I want to walk you through a foolproof way on how to spot public manipulation. I'm also maybe going to talk about what to do if it's actually aliens. If you don't know, I'm the guy that trains psyops. I'm the person that teaches this kind of stuff to companies and stuff. So the government's kind of gone from decades of denial to throwing around terms like UAPs, unidentified aerial phenomena, in official hearings. Add to that this sudden rise in reports of drones all over the place, these weird sightings and emergency declarations that are going on, I think in New Jersey right now. And it feels like we're being prepped for something. But what are we being prepared for? So let's dig in. So why would this be happening right now? So we're going to go both sides. It's aliens, it's not aliens. Let's do both sides here. Most governments don't just usually open up about things like this without a reason. With all governments, when they start pushing a narrative, it's most often to serve a bigger agenda if this is deliberate. So here are three possible reasons I can think of why this might be happening. Number one, a distraction tactic. When huge issues are brewing, like economic instability, political unrest, global crises, somebody's done something bad and it's about to get in the news, governments usually and very often create some kind of distraction. So remember when the Pentagon released UFO footage in 2020. That conveniently happened during a global pandemic, this chaotic thing that was going on around the entire world that we all suffered through. Number two, using fear as a tool. So fear unites people. So if there is a threat big enough, and I want you to remember, if you're just listening to me right now, I'm sitting on your kitchen counter or something like that and you're making dinner, I said the word threat with huge quotes around it. If there's a threat big enough, like UFOs, people are more likely to trust their leaders, give up freedoms, and rally behind whatever solution that they're offered. It's the same playbook used during the Cold War. This was called the Red Scare for that reason. Or post 9/11 with the War on Terror and the Patriot Act. And then number three, testing the waters. This goes back to BC years. All three of these things go back to the BC years. This is not something that's original. So governments tend to test and gauge how people react. So if we accept UFOs as real and we don't freak out, that means we can kind of escalate the narrative without any pushback. So think of it like kind of a slow drip instead of pouring it all out at one time. And if you want to look back at some of these historical parallels, this is not the first time this has happened. There's just a few that come to mind right now. The first is the Gulf of Tonkin. This happened in 63 or 64, 1963 or 64. The United States used extremely questionable reports of attacks on naval ships, which were not true, to justify escalating this Vietnam War. And then in 1962, we had this thing called Operation Northwoods. This is a declassified plan about the U.S. officials staging, quote, fake attacks, completely fake attacks, like blowing up planes with people in them to justify military actions against Cuba. And in the post 9/11, what I would call a fear campaign. So after the attacks, governments push for these just sweeping changes like the Patriot Act, which expanded massive surveillance under the guise of terrorism. So if you just replace terrorism or communism with UFOs, you can start to see a pattern. So what might be happening? What might be happening right here? It might upset you. It might piss you off, but we're going to talk about that in just a second. So keep that in your back pocket for just a second. Number one is a normalization phase. So just steadily leaking UFO footage, holding hearings, using all these terms like UAPs all the time. The government makes the idea of something out there seem reasonable. So this keeps people curious, but not panicked. Curious, but not panicked. The second part of this is setting the stage for a big reveal. And I want you to keep that one in mind. So at some point, we might see a more dramatic event, like a giant UFO sighting over a major city, or footage that is just impossible to dismiss. And you could think giant holograms, giant drones, or other advanced tech just creating something that you cannot ignore. So number three would be a need for a savior. So once the threat feels real enough, governments or even global coalitions could step in as these heroes. They might call for increased defense budgets. Maybe all the governments in this area need to unite into one big government. Maybe a global response team, and I say that with quotes around it, to handle this threat. So this could lead to giant power shifts and more control in fewer hands is kind of maybe the goal of that. And this, you could look this up. There was even a plan to stage a fake kind of alien invasion. This is on record, on paper, that there was a full government plan to make a fake alien invasion. But what could be next? What could be down the pipeline from right now? If we follow this theory to the logical next step here, here's what might happen. First would be escalating UFO reports. Expect a lot more sightings, near misses with airplanes, mysterious objects interfering with infrastructure like power grids or airports. It's going to feel real and urgent. The next would be a media blitz that would come after that. So mainstream media will amplify the story. They're going to interview pilots. They're going to release grainy videos and have experts explain these things that are maybe defying physics. The goal, potentially, and I say all of this as a potential hypothetical, to make everybody believe this is a huge deal. Next would be a global event, and this could be something absolutely wild, like some kind of coordinated UFO appearance, maybe a simulated attack, or even some claim that we've made contact. And it doesn't have to be real, it just has to be believable enough. And of course, then we have a solution. So after the chaos, governments might roll out solutions like new defense initiatives, new military spending, government coalitions, governments kind of coming together, expanded surveillance maybe, and calls for like some international cooperation. All right. So why should we care? Even if all this theory sounds way the hell out there, the technologies exist to make all of it plausible. Plausible. So holograms, drones, AI, deep fakes are advanced enough to fool large populations. And historically, going back to the year 1 AD, governments have shown that they're not above manipulating fear to get what they want. So now we get to what do we do? What the hell do we do about this? Number one, stay frickin' critical. Do not take everything at face value. Always question why some stories are getting so much attention, and most importantly, who benefits from that story. And educate yourself. You need to look into historical precedents, maybe current technology. You could just use ChatGPT for a lot of this. and some government strategy. So the more you know, the harder it is for you to be manipulated. Focus on reality. So, of course, this is nothing but conjecture. I'm just sitting here at my house. We've got a bonfire going on outside. We're about to go sit outside for a little while and just enjoy nature around a fire like our ancestors did. And I don't know anything. I don't know anything more than you do about what's going on. So the sky's the limit for this conjecture, but maybe it's theatrics. But remember that not every light in the sky is some alien. Stay very grounded in what's provable and know that getting angry at things that are outside your control is stupid. It's just like drinking acid.